Hi, I'm Dumbo Dan from SampleLibraryReview.com. Today I'm going to be checking out the Bass Blockflote experimental bass recorder by Insanity Samples. Now this looks like a pretty unique library, and I've always liked what Insanity Samples put together. This time they've desampled capturing extended and explosive performance techniques of a bass recorder, promising expression in every note designed to inspire. This library downloads is 5 gigabytes. It's got 32 multi-sample articulations and with up to 8 round robins and 7 live recorded rhythmic patterns, which are all tempo synced. There's 3 mic positions with condenser, ribbon, and room mics, and scale link grace notes, turns, and trills. It does require the full version of Contact. It normally sells for $122. At the time I put the video together, it's available for $62 from Insanity Samples. The first thing we're going to do is listen to a little demo that I mocked up, getting a feel for the library. I've got some drums and some 808s, and I did also use the Insanity Samples hand pan instrument, which I'm a big fan of. I'll include a link to that review up in that corner there if you want to check that instrument out. Now you can hear the demo is pretty bare bones. Like I said, just some drums, a bass, the different variations and articulations of the flute. And I really leaned into that rhythmic patch for those rhythmic patterns by the flute. I think those are really cool. And I think as we dive in more, you'll see just why. Insanity Samples has got this together as it loads up. You can see it's got a performance-based articulation based on velocities right now. We can go ahead and switch that over to key switches just to hear those main articulations. With longs, marcatos, three different kinds of tongues with doubles, triples, and quads. And there's a flutter tongue and a flutter overblow. We got shorts with staccatos, spiccatos. And this is where it gets really cool. These grace notes, turns, and trills, these are all scale linked. So you can actually select which scale you're working in, and it'll automatically play the correct turn, grace note, or trill. Now, one of the things that Insanity Samples continues to do to make these instruments even more expressive is they've got this performance grid. This basically lets us set up so we can play different articulations at different velocities. And you can hear this gives a way to make some very expressive performances without worrying about key switching. this is one of the more fun parts of the instrument, a way to instantly get something really cool right away. The rhythm performances here. These are patterns played by the experimental bass recorder and captured, so we've got them here. You can see in the performance grid, velocity sensitive. Now, I think that listening to all the demos, playing with the instrument thus far, I really felt like this could lean itself in a lot of directions. And I think this demo that the developer sent over with the instrument kind of opens it up that you could do something a little bit more modern scoring, but with kind of a ethnic feel, just thanks to the timbre of the instrument. The mix panel gives us options for adjusting our legato volume, as well as individual signals for the condenser, ribbon, and room mics. There's also a mechanical noise, which I think is great that they've got this separate. It means you can really manipulate the tone to get something out of it that you really like. The EQ here lets you dial in just a parametric EQ so you can kind of sculpt your sound out of the instrument. And once you combine this with the effects here, you can see we've got the super verb option. And setting it up with the performance grid, you can see we can get playback. It's very cinematic thanks to that long tail on that verb. Now, I've been a big fan of Insanity Samples and what their hurdy-gurdy library is, and fantastic. Their hang drum library they released, I'm a huge fan of that. I really like this performance grid and the ability to sculpt and play different performances on the keyboard with the velocity. And I think with the bass recorder here, we're going to get just as much flexibility with the performance grid, you know, getting flutters and overblown with those harder velocities, letting you play the legatos there with the longs. And I think this might be like a real secret weapon for those seeking out something very specific, a very different kind of sound, because this is an experimental instrument that they sampled, a bass recorder here, and it's just got such great tone and explosiveness in it. Now, my only thought, and you correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, this seems like the price point might be a little bit high for a single instrument with the breadth it's delivered. I do really appreciate these rhythms. I think all the sampling is very well done. The engine works so smoothly, and it barely takes up any CPU. That said, I think a lot of composers or musicians who are looking for a world or ethnic or something a little bit unusual might be able to find a collection of instruments at around this price point. But those are just my thoughts, and I'd love to hear yours. Please comment below. Let me know what you think about the Bass Blockflote here, the experimental bass recorder Insanity Samples has put together. Have you been using other Insanity Samples instruments? And if so, let me know what your favorite ones are, because I'm always interested to check out what this developer is doing. If you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and come back around on Fridays for our weekly Deal Compressor show.